Big Brother house.
There was just something unique about Jade Goody. She was the right person at the right time in the right place.
Her ability was an intuitive understanding of who she was and what she could get out of being who she was.
She was the epitome of the noughties' obsession with making ordinary people famous.
What you saw with Jade is what you get.
Good for you!
There was no airs and graces, nothing about her in any way.
My claim to fame is meeting you, you fucking loser!
She was an unthinking part of the very, very worst aspects of British culture.
The Jade story was unique. I don't think there's ever going to be anyone like her.
You're a liar and a fake! I don't want to do this!
Jade Goody, the world's most famous reality TV star, died a very public and shockingly premature death. Her story is so extraordinary. There are plans already for a West End stage show of her life in Jade the Musical. For 7 years, Jade Goody lived and ultimately died in the glare of the media spotlight. In that time, she went from chubby Bermondsey dental nurse to celebrity culture's chaotic cover girl. Throughout her brief career, Jade split public opinion wide open. She knew from the start people loved or hated her. She attracted controversy throughout her life. Even her death is surrounded in mystery. What was it about this simple South London girl that caught the imagination of so many? Was it down to luck or timing? Her talent or lack of it? Her no-boundaries honesty?
What exactly have you been saying about myself?
Or a blundering big math?
It's the same as on my toe, so whoever's shared the same minging shower as me has passed it on to me.
Whatever it was, it fascinated the British public. As the uncrowned queen of reality TV, was she an icon of our times? Or did she, without realising it, make fame alone an empty ambition for Generation Y?
What made your hair go proper like orange?
Even at auditions for the show that would make her famous, Big Brother producers were unsure of what to make of her.
Again! Why should we choose you? Because the world needs to know me. I said on my application form, they all need to get to know me.
I sort of remember seeing Jade's application for the first time. They used to send in videos for Big Brother, and Jade sent in a video with herself shouting and screaming and talking 9 to the dozen and passing herself through an elastic band.
As you all know, my name's Jade, I'm 20, I'm from Bermondsey in London.
What I remember most about Jade's video is that half the people watching it thought, God, this girl's dreadful, we can never put her on the TV.
I'd like Bianca to play my star part in the film because she's just the perfect, oh, Ricky, and that's exactly me. Local Danny, street selling you bananas, that is me.
And the other half of the people watching it thought, do you know what, we've never seen anything quite like her before, let's give her a go.
1 minute I'm all, oh, yeah, and next minute I'm all, nah, get out the phone, do me again.
You know, you meet a lot of people doing this job, and sometimes somebody just makes an impression on you or lights up the room and you can't quite put your finger on why they're special.
I don't think before I talk, so I thought like Fats Domino was in the mafia, so I'd say something and it'd probably be all mixed up, and then like people look at me and go, you know, that people think, they probably think you're really stupid, and then I'd think, well, I'm not stupid, I know what I mean.
You know, I wouldn't want to share a house with her, but as a celebrity on the telly, she was perfect, I thought.
I knew Birmingham weren't in London, but I thought Cambridge was in London.
Jade's command of the English language, not to mention her grasp of geography, was less than great. But it entertained and eventually endeared her to the masses.
The region is called East Anglia.
East Anglia? That's abroad.
What about bicycle?
Oh, I don't know that one.
Let's go for it.
What? B-I-C-K. C-I-L-E. Fuck knows, I spelled back, but not see cool.
The public really thought Jade was like a bit silly in the head and not clever and a bit stupid, or a bit thick, you could even call her, which, you know, she wasn't.
She was there to be laughed at. Let's not kid ourselves about that. It was a fairly cruel business.
She was funny kind of by mistake, but she was also funny, you know, she was a funny girl, she had charisma, she was a communicator. If somebody said something she didn't understand, she wasn't frightened of going in and asking.
We might look Jade. Well, I'll turn away.
I don't want to do this!
Daft as it sounds, I wanted to sort of put my arm around and protect her, and just don't do that.
Oh my God!
We've all agreed, I'm sorry, but you guys better do it.
The newspapers and the public and on all the forums, the internet forums, started laying into her in the most extreme way you could imagine, you know, calling her a vile pig, and the amount of sort of hatred that was heaped upon her was quite staggering.
I thought Sherlock Holmes was like related to Inspector Morse, and Inspector Morse was related to Mr. Heinstein and Mother Teresa. Yeah.
At first, Big Brother voters didn't take to Jade one little bit and wanted her evicted just 7 days in. Popularity swung her way after Jade and housemate PJ got it together. The next day he gave her the brush off and Jade was clearly upset, and the audience felt for her.
The 9th person to leave the Big Brother house will be... Jade!
Jade lasted the show's 64-day run to come fourth in 2002's finale.
Jade, you've got 1 minute to say your goodbyes. I'm coming to get you!
Born in Peckham, Jade was brought up on a Bermondsey council estate on the edge of the River Thames and went to a local C of E primary school. Her absent father Andrew was a heroin addict and a prison regular. Her lesbian mum Jackie lived on benefits. They split up when Jade was 18 months old after her mum found guns hidden under Jade's cot. For a while, mother and daughter shared an abandoned tenement.
My mum lives in this block, and the next block, on the ground floor, me and Jade squatted in there for 4 years. And then I had my accident in that block. We survived whatever we could. I lived on social. I never would go out and nick things at the shops or shoplift, but I used to go and survive other different ways to get money so I could go and get her what she needed.
When Jade was 5, Jackie was seriously injured in a motorbike accident which left her partially paralysed. From here on, their roles were reversed, and Jade took on the job of looking after her mum.
From being 5, she had to quickly be 12. You know, she washed up, she'd done ironing, she cleaned, she changed plugs. You know, she'd put light bulbs in and she'd dress me.
Jackie took her frustration out on Jade, lashing out when she got things wrong. Teachers alerted social services when they found bruises and a young Jade was taken into care for a while. Jade carried a heavy load on her infant shoulders but got on with life. It was the first sign of her trademark positivity. She loved to perform and was on the books of a local agency. She got bit parts in TV commercials, even the odd bit of work as an extra. Eventually, compensation money for Jackie's accident meant that they could travel. Jade was 11 when she and her mum went to Egypt. Even then, she loved to play up to the camera.
This is the bathroom, okay? We've got a toilet. And we've got a beaver. And it washes your bum. Shh. Wash my bum.
Jade's personality was just a natural performer in any case. She's just my little star, and I'd video her. Okay, pick up the phone now. And do your work over the phone.
Hello, 81. 1 and 8 is 9. 8 and 1 is 9, so that makes 99. And 5 and 1 is 6.
By the time Jade hit her teens, Jackie was using crack cocaine to cope with her disability, and Jade was failing her studies. Her grades were poor in all subjects except for one. It was drama, and she got an A star. Jade didn't get on well with school and was eventually expelled for disruptive behaviour. It was around this time Jade had her very first smear test, which identified precancerous cells at 16 and again at 18, which were lasered away.
When my daughter was 16, I had to take her for a smear test, and it came back abnormal, and they had to burn these cells off From there, my daughter was traumatised for what they'd done to her.
Jade saw her father destroyed by drugs and hated to see her mum do the same. So at just 16, she left home for the first time. They still saw each other, but for years Jade stayed in hostels, social housing, or crashed with mates till Jackie got clean. Jade worked at countless dead-end jobs before bizarrely qualifying as an air hostess. Finally, she settled for a job as a $3.50 an hour dental nurse. It was then Jade saw her chance of escape. It was a reality TV show, and she, like tens of thousands of others, hankered after a place in the Big Brother house.
When Jade applied to Big Brother, her motivation was to get out of Bermondsey, get out of her job, get out of her, what she regarded, I think, at that time as her dead-end life.
If you look at where she was brought up, it's just a little council estate, and around it now are these kind of yuppie flats. All around her was evidence that you can make it, that you can own your own house, that you can have a nice life. And how do you achieve it? Money.
Jade walked straight into a media frenzy when she left the house. She hadn't won the show, but she'd won over the public and the press. They were now convinced they'd found a new star.
She was immediately quite a lucrative commodity for quite a lot of people, not least herself.
She come out of Big Brother and she was like, but I didn't win. And I was like, it doesn't matter. You know, we was in this hotel room and she was like, well, how much is £250,000? Is it more than 70? And I was like, well, what do you think?
Because I had to do it and say like how much it was like from a millionaire to this, and it was like a quarter of a millionaire sort of on that sort of line. I was like, what, a quarter of a millionaire? And I understand a quarter of a millionaire, but if you were to write the figure out, I wouldn't have a clue. I'd think, right, is that a lot?
Heat, when it first came out, struggled, really didn't do that well for a really long time. It didn't quite know what it was doing. Once it hitched itself to Big Brother, its circulation absolutely exploded.
The front cover one, I meant to be a princess and I'm eating chips or something.
Oh, right, okay. Why a princess?
Because I am a princess, actually.
We knew as a magazine that she was definitely the star for us. She was the person that the readers wanted to know more about. So we bought up her first interview, did her first shoot.
And one of the biggest selling kind of issues it ever had Jade on the cover, you know. I mean, she was very, very important to Heat magazine.
When we put her on the cover when she was in the house, and that was just flying off the shelves. And every time we put her on the cover after that, it was just getting more and more and more. And so obviously she was the person we wanted.
Yeah, lovely, lovely. That's fabulous. Well done!
She sold more than Victoria Beckham when she was on the cover right at the beginning.
Well, it was about 547,000 copies.
Oh, I can't believe that. Oh my God. Oh my God, move over, Posh Spice.
She was everywhere. She was in so much demand and people wanted her to do fitness videos, people wanted to give like interviews, exclusives, take her on holiday. Like, it was just surreal.
I'm 21 and it's not as if I'm like...
Enjoy the moment.
I just want to enjoy the moment right now. So it might run out in a couple of months, it might run out in a few years, but while it's here, I will enjoy it and I will make the most of it because I'm never going to get it again.
Jade was a construct as well as a real person, and the people that constructed her were public relations experts and advisors and television producers. Jade was a golden goose for people, but I'm sure she was intelligent enough to know that she was being used. The reason why she went along with it is that she ended up a millionairess.
As newspapers and magazines wrote six-figure cheques to sign Jade, she returned to her hometown of Bermondsey. She was one of their own. She'd made it big and they loved her for it.
There's enough hard life in areas like this. She should be an inspiration, and I've seen it, like kids round here, like, look at Jade and look up to her now.
To see Jade on the television, representing Bermondsey, representing that kind of class that you never see on television was very, very important.
She came out of the Big Brother house as somebody who was incredibly famous in that moment. And the trick, of course, is to try and continue that fame. And she immediately got some very good management.
The new agent had a master plan, and Jade and her mum Jackie were totally up for it.
Like today, she's got her tutor for her reading and spelling and her maths. Then tomorrow, she's got her fitness trainer. You know, they're important things to Jade at the moment. you know, for her launch, because she's going to change and she's going to become Jade Goody, not Jade Big Brother 3.
Jade Goody's reinvention had begun.
It's Jade! Now, I'm Oddfeld, and I think you know Veruca.
What I liked about Jade was the fact that when she was given an opportunity, she worked really hard. She showed that she was working class. She worked. She really worked.
As Jade became more successful, she got a personal trainer to help her keep the weight off. He shared a house with an ex-footballer who made a name for himself on another reality show, Shipwrecked. It was Jeff Brazier, and it wasn't long before he and Jade fell for each other. They were together a matter of months before Jade became pregnant with first son Bobby Jack. It was a tempestuous affair and was on and off long enough for them to have their second child, baby Freddie.
It was awful. I was a hard girlfriend to be with. There was so much strain on our relationship because we got together quite early. I fell pregnant quite early along in the relationship.
After the birth of each of her boys in 2003 and 2005, Jade lost a lot of blood. She was given smears and given the all clear. Around this time, Jade's dad was found dead from a heroin overdose in a KFC toilet. He was 42. And after giving it 4 years, Jeff and Jade decided they were happier apart and shared time with their kids.
Thanks for coming, everybody, celebrating Bobby's second birthday with us. It's also another kid's birthday, so if everyone could just join in singing happy birthday for Jade.
There have now been more than 3,000 housemates from over 50 countries around the world. Each and every one of them went through a rigorous audition process as producers searched for characters to win TV ratings. Some contestants were rewarded with one-off record deals or short-lived presenting gigs, but none made the same impact as Jade. Jade was now a firm favourite with OK Now and Heat. They made her their cover story time and time again. In return, she opened up her entire life for all to see and got rich in the process.
There was this whole explosion of celebrity magazines on the market, and they were all on the lookout for a new star, and not a new Hollywood star, because they knew their readers probably wanted to read about somebody off a reality show, because that was what would sell.
When will I be famous?
She was like a over-sugared toddler. So whatever she felt, you knew about, and you either liked that or you didn't.
She was one of those people that would spill the beans about her whole life, you know, good or bad. She would just tell it like it was. And I don't think we'd ever had that from any celebrity before. They're always so PR controlled and really careful about what they're saying.
I'm really excited because I've been doing shoots for the sun, shoots for the mirror. I don't know how you've done it. Oh, it's proper mad, I tell you.
For her to have achieved anything with her life is remarkable. She had an absolutely terrible upbringing. I mean, just appalling.
Her past as a child, all her background has gave her this push to be something.
That's nice. Oh, this is nice, isn't it? Do you think of this on in bed? Oh, but I look like such a woman. I learned from when I went out, if you give them a picture, then their right side nice. If you don't, they just traumatise you. And I thought, I'm going to get to know her. Great, fantastic.
She said to people, you can come from nowhere and you can do anything you want to do. She had no right whatsoever to be on television, to be famous. She had no particular talent, and in that she had every talent.
Going on television and talking about her difficult background probably did have therapeutic functions for someone like Jade. Who else was she going to talk to? From all that one understands, her immediate family were not particularly receptive to her emotional problems. She actually used the audience as a kind of listening post. Suddenly, when you have millions of people watching you, you can be more honest than you can with your mum and dad.
My big issues this week have all been sorted at Hammersmith Station.
TV companies tried out Jade in a number of pilots.
What exactly am I?
You're a metal meter maid.
I'm a metal meter maid.
But none of them worked out. It was only when a female-skewed satellite channel suggested they film the real-life exploits of Jade's own life that her TV career really took off. Jade became central to the Living TV schedule with her own long-running lifestyle series.
Living TV followed Jade right from the beginning, and I think they saw something in Jade. They've tried it out with other people, and it just depends whether it rates. But Jade, you just put a camera on her and something funny is going to happen.
She was just TV gold, so she was brilliant. You could stick a camera on. You know, I've got a whole part of a show out of one day of Jade's life because her life is like a roller coaster.
She'd always wanted her own beauty salon, and the show was built around that.
To be a woman and to walk into a salon and to have this camp gay man, lovely man. Oh, would you like a tea? Hi, Michael. Right, I'm Jade. Nice to meet you. Hello, I'm Carly. Nice to meet you. Ring, 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 ring.
Hello, Jade Salon. How can I help you this morning? You okay there? I was looking for the token gay role, but, you know...
That's what we want. We want to get good gay reception. Are you gay?
Yeah, I am.
With no experience, she set up Uglies, only to see it go under.
Jade Goody did what many people with a sort of limited intelligence would do, which is grab the fame that came along and assume that it was equated to some sort of success in life.
It was her livelihood, it was her career, and she was really ambitious with it.
More TV shows followed.
Jade's PA.
And before long, Jade's first biography was out.
Thank you.
Jade launched the first of her perfumes. She called it Shush because she said she was such a loudmouth.
Press £20 cash. Hey!
I remember her saying that she could tell when people walked past her, even if it was an old granny or a little kid, that they were wearing the scent of Jade Goody. I don't know if that was such a good thing, but that perfume flew off the shelves and beat David Beckham.
Professionally, Jade was on a roll. She was rebooked again and again for chat shows and panel games.
And I'm going to go to shoot the ferrets.
You're going to go and shoot ferrets?
In the season.
In the season? Is there a season for shooting ferrets?
That's what they said.
Yeah. Do you mean pheasants?
Pheasants!
She was even trusted with one of telly's biggest shows.
Cheers, please give a big welcome to our host, it's the gorgeous Jade Goody!
Wider audiences were finally accepting Jade as a fully fledged entertainment face.
Good evening and welcome to the Friday Night Project. Paula Radcliffe has announced she's pregnant, but says she's going to carry on running the marathon even after giving birth. Yeah, well, marathons are really easy. When I ran mine, I did the last 10 miles in less than 5 minutes.
It is a British characteristic that we like the underdog. Charles Dickens came from the blacking factory. She had limited resources, but she used them to her utmost. Jade was truly without self-consciousness. She enabled us to project the frustrations that we feel about everyday life onto somebody who was a television presence, but was also intimate in a way.
Jade had come a long, long way from her impoverished start in life. Everything was just rosy. She had a new luxurious home in Essex she shared with her sons. She even had a new man in her life.
Well, I'm not helping you. I'm coming out to help you. You're not just standing there like a dickhead.
At 18, he was 6 years younger than Jade. It was Jack Tweed.
She went into this club and she just stood there and she looked at one of her bridesmaids and she went, I need you to give him my phone number. That was proper love at first sight.
They'd been together little more than a year when they and Jade's mum Jackie agreed to join the cast of the latest celebrity Big Brother.
What's your name? Shilpa? Shilpa.
There's a slightly kind of postmodern idea that you know, this is the first sort of celebrity created by Big Brother going back into the Big Brother house as a bona fide celebrity with other celebrities. That was the whole idea, and she understood that.
Jade was persuaded to take part by the man who masterminded her career for 5 years. She alone was rumoured to be getting 50 grand.
She did not want to go back in. She went in for the benefit of my mum and dad getting money, Jack getting money and me.
Jackie,
You have been evicted. Emotions ran high when after 5 days, Jade's mum, Jackie, was evicted. But it was nothing compared to what was to come when a row over a shopping list changed reality TV and Jade's life forever.
I'm fine.
The whole big argument with Shilpa was actually down to Jade thinking Shilpa was lying about whether she'd used some chicken stock cubes or something ridiculous.
Did you only order the OXO cubes?
You know what? I don't need to dignify this stupid argument. It may be fun for you, Jade.
Caused by you, because you said the only thing you ordered was OXO cubes, which is an
Oh,
out and out
please
lie.
shut up.
Out and out lie.
Shut up.
Everything Jade does is magnified by 50. So when she cries, she cries. You know, when she's happy, she's happy. When she laughs, she laughs. And when she shouts, she shouts.
You're not no fucking princess here. You're a normal housemate like everybody else. Everybody else. And you need to come to terms with that and don't lie. Don't lie about things. Why come and say the only thing I ordered was OXO cubes? Why lie? Why lie?
It was a class thing. It was a class. It was, you know, who does she think she is? You know, because she's been born with a silver spoon, you know, telling us, etc. She obviously thinks she's better than us.
There was a quote that I explained to Jade once, which was an Eleanor Roosevelt quote, which said, "To feel inferior requires consent." And at first she went, what does that mean? Don't get it. And then I described it to her and she went, oh, well, that's true, because I never let anyone make me feel inferior.
You need to be a real life in your life. That's what you need, because you're so stuck up your own arse. You can't see anything else other than your own fucking nose.
I am stuck up?
Yeah, you are. You're so far up your arse, you can smell your own shit.
She lost it. She didn't have any control, Jade. You know, that was one of the maybe the problems of her upbringing. She didn't know how to control her temper or control her mouth.
You know, Jade, I don't use that language, so you can...
Good for you! Good for you!
Good for you!
You don't use it, I do. Piss off!
You know what? Your claim to fame is this. Good for you!
My claim to fame is meeting you fucking loser!
There was a class element to her remarks, a resentment that this rather well-to-do young lady was brighter than her, smarter than her, had more privileges than her. Having said that, I'm afraid I could not forgive the remarks she made, which were undoubtedly, in my view, racist.
Next day, Jade dwelled on the row.
Because I'm common as well.
I'm common, I need elocution lesson, and my claim to fame is arguing with her. Oh, yeah. Because Shilpa, whoever you are, I don't know if I can say her name, Shilpa Bakarada, is just the most important person I've ever seen in my life.
How can Jade be racist? Jade has a granddad. We call him Wizard. He came over, yeah, from the 50s Caribbean to come over. You know, you can't get no one darker than that.
Kate Moss invited me back to her house for a party. That's my claim to fame. Not Shilpa Darupa.
Is that what the name is?
I don't know what her name is, particularly. I'm not really clear. I said last night Shilpa Papadum or something.
I don't think she was racist, I think she was angry. And I think that when you're angry, you grab all sorts of words. You'll say anything.
Jade,
yeah,
you are the third person to be evicted from the Big Brother house. You have 30 seconds to say your goodbyes. I'm coming to get you.
Thank you.
Amid claims of racism and bullying, all hell broke loose. Jade was evicted by 82% of the public vote. For her own security, she was the world's first housemate ever to leave in complete silence.
Hello.
The story gradually unfolded for her, and you could see her getting more and more upset as she realised that she could be perceived as a racist, and that was the last thing she wanted.
I don't approve of any of the words that come out of my mouth. I don't approve of any of my actions, and I'm not going to sit here and defend myself. I am sincerely sorry to anybody that I've offended out there and in here.
In a sense, reality TV educates us how to behave. It provides us with parables of everyday life. The people on the screen show us what to do and what not to do, how to say certain things and how not to say certain things.
There was a lot of bullying going on within that environment, and it all came to just rest on her. She used the wrong words, and so therefore she became racist, and she was the bad guy. And I think then, yeah, I think she was exploited, really.
As news of the incident spread around the world, total complaints topped 54,000. Protesters burned effigies in India. While on a trip there, Prime Minister-in-waiting Gordon Brown was drawn into the row.
Thousands of British people have phoned in, more than 20,000, to condemn what has happened on the Big Brother programme.
And Prime Minister of the day, Tony Blair, was forced to respond to the crisis in Parliament.
First of all, let me say to my right honourable friend that I have not seen the particular programme in question, therefore can't comment on it. But of course, I would agree entirely with the principle that he has outlined, which is that we should oppose racism in all its forms.
The potential for fueling the wrong fires was quite extensive, I think.
Jade's perfume was removed from shots, her paperback biog was dropped. Even the magazine she wrote for reported the mood of the nation.
She was definitely left out in the cold for a while, and, you know, public sympathy totally evaporated for her.
She'd gone in there, the most adored person ever, and then she'd come out to national hatred, and she just did not know what to do. She was a broken woman.
I've learned that I can be a nasty person. I always thought that I was a nice person, and I do believe that I am a nice person, but I've got nasty elements in me. And I also know that my past isn't buried at all. It's still very much part of me, and I don't want it to be.
After apologising repeatedly, Jade stepped back from public life, took stock and found comfort with her family. A month after the Celebrity Big Brother uproar, Jade fell pregnant with Jack's baby, but suffered a miscarriage at 12 weeks. Again, she lost a lot of blood and was given the all clear. Jade signed up with new agent Max Clifford and slowly began to re-emerge.
Her career was over. She'd been written off, nowhere to go, nothing to do, and no one wanted to know. So it was a real challenge.
Put your hands together! 4! She's said to have made 100 grand for her third Big Brother stint. This one was in India.
Namaste, India.
She just thought, you know what? You know, I kind of need to apologise about the Shilpa Shetty situation, and I need the money.
Jade wanted to show viewers she was happy to be there and join her former housemate.
So let's welcome you, Jade Goody, into the Big Boss house.
In the 9 months before Jade went to India, she said she was admitted to hospital 4 times for emergency treatment. She was never given a cervical smear. It was only when she went to her local GP for travel jabs that, as an afterthought, she was given a smear.
Max Clifford rang me when Jade was in Big Brother in India because he had heard from her doctor that a cervical smear which was done when she attended simply to get her immunisation, this had shown a cancer, and he wanted to know if he had to pull her out of Big Brother. I said yes.
Hello, I'm Jade. Hello. This is nice.
Jade was in Big Boss for just a day when she was called by her UK doctor off camera and told she had cancer. Despite the shock, her first thought was to tell her agent to tell her family before the story broke. She told the others she had to get back to Britain for medical tests.
Hopefully the tests are only tests.
On her return, Max Clifford asked his doctor to examine Jade.
As soon as Jade came back from India, I saw her and examined her, took her through various tests and got her to the right people at the Marsden.
She'd been home little more than a week when Jade revealed she couldn't make sense of her diagnosis.
So you went to India thinking you'd got the all clear from everyone, so you weren't going there thinking I may or may not have cancer.
No, I would never have done that.
Because
It wasn't even in my head.
Yeah.
The whole idea of having cancer was never in my head at all. And all I was told, it was a bad period of stress and just take my painkillers with me and I'm fine. But this ain't the first time it's happened.
Yeah, I know, I remember.
It's about the third or fourth time. So there's obviously something wrong. And they're taking all my blood and that and everything's fine. But I'm getting upset because I'm like, you're telling me everything's fine, but quite clearly nothing is fine because something's wrong, because I'm getting hot, I'm getting dizzy, I'm getting pain where I shouldn't be getting pain. but like my blood pressure and everything come back all right. No abnormal cells or anything.
All right, so how long ago was that?
That was before I went to India. Yeah, I was in hospital for literally a week, and when I was in there, they didn't do nothing. I'm not knocking them, but they didn't know what was wrong with me, and it was the 4th time I was in there for the same reasons. They did one of those belly scans on me, but nothing come up. Everything was fine, my blood, everything. So they said to me it was a period or stress, a bad period of stress. And I was like, in the end, I began to feel really frustrated and like they were insulting my intelligence. And I just felt that they were thinking I was a hypochondriac. I thought, maybe you think I'm lying about this because you're telling me nothing's wrong with me, but there quite clearly is.
When she had an abnormal smear after her miscarriage, it would be normal for the hospital to send a routine letter advising her to get in touch to have another smear. And she failed to respond.
Harley Street specialist Dr. Anne Coxon believes, given Jade's medical history, the onus was on the NHS to pursue diagnosis. She believes Jade didn't take her health as seriously as she should.
I collapsed and I went into hospital, but me collapsing and losing the blood that I did, I know it sounds weird, but it was normal to me because on 4 different occasions it had happened. So I'd gone to hospital and I was like, look, this has happened again.
This is here?
Yeah, this is here.
Before you went to
Before
India,
I went.
right.
This has happened again, what's going on, and they just literally said to me, Jade, it's nothing to worry about, it's just a period. And I was like, well, it isn't, it's not normal, there's something wrong, this is the 4th time it's happened. And I was dead certain there was something wrong with me, but you listen to doctors, you know, who am I to I don't know anything, so I'm not gonna listen to them.
For some reason, her cervix was never examined and she never had a cervical smear, in spite of the fact that it was known she had had problems previously.
Within weeks, Jade's treatment escalated, first with radio and chemotherapy, followed by a hysterectomy and testosterone injections.
My treatment's a lot more intense. I've got to have the testosterone. It's the man's hormone, testosterone. Oh, I don't know. Well, it's testosterone. I don't know. What is it?
Jade carried on working as much as she could. She launched another biography, did Christmas photo shoots, and went ahead with a long-standing panto booking.
Oh, no, she ain't.
But she was too ill and pulled out after a week. Jade also coped without fiancé Jack. He was in prison for assault. By Valentine's Day 2009, after emergency surgery to remove a tumour, it was announced Jade had run out of time. Jade lost her hair and took the decision to share the final weeks of her life with the public.
Front page of the Nude World with a bald head. Never thought I'd see that as a front pager or any pager.
Someone said to me the other day that Jade was exploited and, you know, she was the victim, and absolutely not. She was like, why can people not see this? This is happening, you know, all over the world. Why can't people see it?
She felt, through her illness, she could inspire women to be screened for cervical cancer and make some serious money to leave her sons in trust.
It took her about a week to get her head around the fact that she was dying. And again, immediately she was positive and said, I want to get married, I want to get a trust fund set up for the kids, and she had everything organised.
Jade gave herself a week to plan her wedding to Jack.
I like that with the flower, but I don't want the flower because I just think it takes it away from the bow off of the dress. And I think the dress is very simple, so I agree with you there.
She was always bossing us about. She'd be on the phone demanding this, what's happening here, what's happening here, where are we, well, what part are we doing now, and what have we got to start, you know, organised and that. So she got the name Bridezilla.
Jack was allowed to leave prison on compassionate grounds to attend the couple's £300,000 wedding. Mr. and Mrs. Tweed were paid £700,000 by OK for the picture exclusive.
Can I take my shoes off?
Of course you can. All of the money that she made from those interviews have gone into a trust for the boys' education. In her own words, I didn't have an education. I'm ignorant. But I'm going to make sure my boys have the best education that I can provide for them.
All of us need someone to look up to. And we're living in a society where organised religion is declining. As a result of that, I think celebrity culture has filled the vacuum.
The wedding, it was absolutely phenomenal. Went off the Richter scale. You couldn't have predicted it. She actually sold more copies than the Beckham's wedding, Jordan and Peter's wedding, Wayne and Colleen's wedding, and by quite a way.
Everyone always goes on about she's an amazing mum, an amazing wife with Jack eventually, but actually she was the most incredible daughter. She forgave her mum for so much. She once said to me, the trick is, if you forgive someone, you just have to forgive them and move on. You can't make them suffer, you can't look back, you just stop and you move on.
You're right.
She said to me, if I survive this and I get a closer relationship with my mother, then it's all been worth it. And that's an amazing thing for a kind of young girl to say about the relationship with her mum. That always chokes me up when I talk about that.
The Queen sent a message of support, but the cancer was taking hold, and Jade spent her final week cared for by her mother.
On the face of it, I found it amazing that some people thought that news of her cancer was a publicity stunt. Having said that, perhaps it told us something about the world we had created for Jade Goody, this media bubble in which anything was possible, appalling as that may be.
A month after her marriage, Jade Goody died in private at her home in Essex. Since her death, the Jade Goody business goes on. Sales of her books have never been higher. And opinion about the Bermondsey Big Mouth is as divided as ever. Stephen Fry very publicly revealed his soft spot for Jade, while chat show king Parky felt the need to tell the world not to look up to her.
It may well be that Michael Parkinson and I are completely out of step. If that's the case, so be it. She was of her age, and it's not an age I know anything about, nor wish to know anything about. I represent a completely different era with a completely different set of attitudes and aspirations.
Even now, the internet is awash with love and hate messages, and amazingly, her funeral also triggered debate.
I don't think comparisons between Princess Jade and Princess Diana are that preposterous in a way.
The things that they obviously have in common were they died young, they were on the telly a lot, and they left 2 sons.
There was no comparison, in my view, between her and Princess Diana, and to suggest so is actually sort of almost insulting people's intelligence.
It was just absolutely magnificent. You had people from all over Britain. People in their thousands came to pay their last respects.
One of the professional interests in Jade is that she's a story which has a beginning, a middle and an end. Because she died so young, it was all concentrated in a very, very short time frame, 6-7 years. So you can see the whole process of how someone is constructed by the media, how it goes wrong, and how she slides in public affection, rebuilds herself, and then suffers a very young death in highly public circumstances.
If those close to Jade have their way, she'll be remembered through song and dance in a musical of her life sometime soon.
Various projects we've got in the pipeline is a musical we've got coming out in about 4 months' time, and it's going to be the story of her life, and we're going to be on the search for who's going to play Jade.
I read with stunned disbelief there is now going to be a musical about Jade Goody. Not just that, but the fact that we're going to have a round Britain talent contest to find out who should star in the musical about Jade Goody. I mean, where is this going to end?
Everybody is determined to do as much as possible to make it happen. Is something that will bring a smile to her face when she's looking down, I'm sure.
I would say that Jade the musical is a good idea. I think it would bring in the hen parties from all around.
They'll certainly go and see it, because it's a great story. That's what Jade was. She was a brilliant, brilliant story.
She's always said, miss me but don't let me go. So yeah, I think the music will be a very, very good idea.
But her real and lasting legacy will be knowledge and understanding of cervical cancer. The Jade effect has meant screenings are up by 60%.
Jade should not have had to pay this price, but She will have saved probably thousands of lives by making people understand that cervical cancer kills.
Young women should not always take no for an answer when they go to the doctors. If they think there's something wrong with them, they need to go and get checked out more than once until they're completely satisfied. And ironically, if Jade had died and hadn't been ill, then her legacy would not have necessarily been a positive one. People probably would have gone, oh, who was Jade Goody anyway? She was just some chavvy reality TV star. And now she's somebody who, through her bravery and through talking about it so much, has probably saved a lot of lives.
Jade Goody stepped through the doors of opportunity 7 years ago and emerged as one of the most controversial characters of modern-day celebrity. It remains to be seen if we'll see her like again.
I beg your pardon.
She was a charismatic person, she was an engaging person, she was a watchable person. And maybe that is a legacy that you can put, in inverted commas, ordinary people on television, and we will be interested. If they're the right person, they're interesting.
Oh, I beg your pardon. I never promised you.
I can't think of anyone else that comes near her, but rather than being the end of a line, I suspect she's the beginning of one. I suspect there are going to be other figures in the next 10 years that will be in the Jade family of celebrities, as it were. People who we look up to who essentially have no talent, who essentially know that they're on the make with the media, and the media knows that they're on the make with them, and who are quite flagrant in what they do to get media attention. I think there'll be more people like that.
Let's be jolly. Life shouldn't be so melancholy. Come along and share the good times while we can. I beg your pardon. I never promised you a rose garden along with the sunshine. There's gonna be a little rain, sun.